What is up? Welcome back to another episode of the sponsorship series. This is episode 4. If you haven't caught the other 3, go check them out because we're doing this chronologically. If you don't have episode 3, 2, and 1 under your belt, then episode 4 is useful, but not as useful if you're trying to draft a proper sponsorship proposal. So let's get into this part, the ask. What's going on? I'm Scott from KONIG. One of the things that I've seen over my 16 years plus here is people asking for things, asking for sponsorship in inappropriate ways. And the problem with this is that it turns a sponsor off instantly, which means that you don't pass go, you don't collect $200, none of that stuff happens. So let's get into how to properly ask a company to give you stuff or exchange a value with you. Okay, so when you're asking for sponsorship, let's talk about the things you absolutely don't do right off the bat. I just think that we have to reiterate these things. They're super important. First thing you never do, you don't send it over DM. You do not just draft a quick email with one paragraph explaining why they need to sponsor you, and you do not ever come off as in you're doing them a favor. Because I promise you, you're not. Even the ones that have very high profile sponsorship applications, I'll be very honest with you, even at the very top echelon of decks and big value providers, the top drift teams, you know, pro athletes or whatever, they always come, always is the wrong word, they most of the time come extremely respectful, knowing that this is a value proposition, either works for your company or it doesn't. And if it doesn't, they'll move on. And that's why they have that feeling of being a little bit confident, but not being overly cocky or rude. And that's an important thing, because remember, you're trying to set up a relationship that's going to last for a long period of time. And in addition to that, you're trying to set up a relationship that they're going to have to work with you the entire time you're sponsored. You're trying to create a situation where they feel that they're gaining an ally, they're gaining a friend, they're gaining a relationship that they're going to want to support for many years to come. And that's the trick to finding somebody that's going to be invested into your program or into what you got going on. Okay, so let's start out with something I've said before, but we need to drive home, and that is sponsorship is an exchange and a value proposition. In other words, all sponsorships on any given level, whether it be a discount on product, a partial sponsorship, a full sponsorship, money, you name it. All sponsorships are done with the sake that the company's exposure or return on investment that they'll put into you or your program or your event series is going to come back to them in multiples. And that's where a lot of people, I think, lose sight. It's not enough to put a decal on your car. It's not enough to, even for drift teams, even for race teams, the logo on the vehicle is often not enough. It has to do with what other things are included in this package. And this is where a lot of pro teams and a lot of other higher race entities go wrong. They think that by putting the logo on there and allowing the series themselves to provide the impressions, provide the eyes on that logo is completely sufficient and enough. And that's incorrect. There has to be other value proposition to give media or something back to the company that's given this stuff to you so that they can use that media to advertise the use of their logo and further the relationship that you already have. Part of what used to happen is different than it is today, which is today you have to help and be your own media company and give these companies things to work with so they can promote your relationship. Now that's a good benefit for you as well, because at the end of the day, if that company is pushing images of your vehicle and your project and your series around, you're also getting free advertising. So it really makes sense for yourself to do it, but if nothing else, remember that it's not enough to rely on Formula Drift's live stream. It's not enough to rely on the 10,000 people that may be in the stands. It's not enough to rely on you put your thing here and maybe we're gonna, get pictures of other events that we're doing, through other media outlets. It's not guaranteed. You're trying to pitch them things are guaranteed. So make sure that you're coming up with other value propositions that you can propose to this company. Now we will save more of that for when we get into the next episode, which has to do with your deliverables and what you're going to be providing to the company in exchange for this value. But today, we're just talking about the ask. This is how to properly ask a company for what you need. So the first thing you have to do, you have to figure out what you need. Because it's as silly as this sounds, a lot of times people say, oh, they just need wheels, or they just need this, or I just need this. No. That's not what you're looking for. In a sponsorship proposal, you need to be as specific as possible. Point blank. If you're not specific as possible, what happens with the company is they look at it and realize that you really haven't done your research on what they provide. You don't really know, you're not far enough along in your build or what you're asking for to know that. Trust me, every event, every build that's in the proper stages of asking for sponsorship, they don't come with, I need wheels. They come with, I need 18 by 12, ET, this to this. It has to be this bolt pattern. And hopefully, I've already checked your website, I've already checked your product line, your catalog, and I would like this model, if that's available. If not, we're open to other things. We're just looking to try to confirm this type of fitment. What you've demonstrated there is that you know what product that they have on their shelf and in part of their catalog. Two, you have already done the research. You know your vehicle, your project, your specs. You know exactly what you need. It's important to demonstrate in your ask why their product and this product is so important, and do it with confidence, but also be flexible. Show them that you're a partner. Show them that you have a desire to work with them. Okay, so another part that we need to stress about the ask, and that has to do with the consideration of what's actually happening behind the scenes. See, remember, every company has a budget to maintain. Every company has a different set of goals and deliverables that they have to accomplish for the company every year. So sometimes you're going to ask for something that they just can't do. Keep this in mind. That's why the conversation has to be kept flexible enough that they, if they like what's going on, can come back to you and feel comfortable proposing something different and being honest with you. If you can develop a candidness, a candor between the company or the person you're looking to work with on sponsorship and yourself, you're going to be so far ahead. Because when I tell you that so many sponsorships, especially ones that are going to be repeat sponsorships, they occur because the companies start to trust the relationship that they have built. So again, there's a lot more that can go into this, but this is the basic part of what you want to do. So I hope this has been very clear. The next episode is going to be really important because we've given you everything you need to do to tell them about yourself. And now we're going to bring up all the things that you need to consider and how to build a proposal where you're going to give them the return on their value. That is the execution part, the part where you're going to have to give them the list of deliverables that you'll provide. So we'll give you a lot of detail on that. I imagine that's going to be a little bit longer than this episode, but get ready because we are moving through this thing. So episode 5 is on its way. Stay tuned. We will catch you on the next one.